internal controls, risk management, and governance. So when we talk about qualified report, is that except for material misstatements that have been noted, the financial statements fairly are presented in accordance to the applicable financial reporting framework. So it is about certification of the financial statements, Chair.
Yeah, the key word is accept. Yes. And you've got a long list. So let's go into those exceptions. Start with issue number 1.
Payables of 343,574,482 Kenya shillings, and third-party payables of Kenya shillings 88,257,254. However, trade payables amounting to Kenya shillings 176,378,605 were not supported by local service county revenue fund. In the circumstances, the
Okay, members.
President and bad president where a county president and bad president where a county, I'm not saying only Lelit, Governor Lelit, but other entities where they appear and decide. I will not say anything, but let my people speak. Yet the person who took an oath should be the one who should go on record. Who took an oath should be the one who should go on record. When we ask technical aspects now on the issue of financial statement, the issue of documentation, the preparation, then CCM Finance can come on board. I think that is the least we can do, because the people of Samburu would want to listen to the governor accounting for money received, not the CCM. I yield back, Chair.
Now, since the written submissions are with us, if the governor chooses not to read the written submissions, I see no harm, but the committee can pose specific questions to the governor, which he cannot refer to any other party. If the committee demands an answer from the governor, I think that is a point at which I shall direct that the governor must respond directly. I think if it's just for reading the written submissions, he can delegate. But if a member asks a specific question which requires the governor to answer, I think the chair will direct that the governor answers.
Chair, we're guided. Chair also guide the entity properly that, as Ragay mentioned, we are dealing with implementation status of our recommendations, so that we don't run the risk of reopening audit through the back door. So we are dealing with implementation status of our recommendations as at 31st of March. I thank you, Chair.
Again, the tricky thing is that we adopted the report of the General in its entirety. So if the Auditor General said that trade and other payables were unsupported and long outstanding, we agree with the Auditor General that they are unsupported and long outstanding. So now we just want to hear from them. Fine, they are unsupported. Since then, are they supported? They are long outstanding. Since then, have they been settled? So I just want to propose so that we get into the substance of the issues, because I've sat on this chair for quite some time, and sometimes I feel like with Samburu, we usually terminate on procedural and technicalities. Let's go to the numbers, because these are the numbers owed to suppliers, youth, women, and even staff whose SACCO contributions have not been remitted. I think honorable members, once they have read their written response, we are at liberty to direct specific questions to the governor, which he cannot deflect.
Chair, just in addition, we should add an rider, and it should go to all staff or people working with the governor, not only on Samburu and others, that should we feel as a committee that they need to take an oath, then they must take it.
Definitely.
So if they want to mislead the committee, they should be warned early enough that to the committee feel they are being misled, they must take an oath and be held accountable as individual officers of particular departments. I yield back, Chair.
Yeah, I believe Article 125 still exists. We can examine any person under oath. Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, out of the total annual pending bills of Kenya shillings 431, 831, 736, as presented in our financial statement 2024-2025 financial statement, Kenya shillings 176, 378, 605 earlier found to be insufficiently supported have since been conclusively backed up. Attached is Annexure 1A is a schedule of questioned amount of 176, 378, 605, and embedded to it are copies of the supported documentation for each and every voucher. That is Annex 1, 10 million, 563, 773, while Kenya shillings 5282, 650.59 is currently awaiting approval by the Control of Budget. This is highlighted in the requisition schedule under the amount of Kenya shillings 11,391, 671. Attached as Annexure 1B are the requisite supporting documentation. In addition, the initial report of Kenya shillings 27,467, 160 salary deduction payable to the third parties, Kenya shillings 10,563,778 has been settled, leaving a balance of Kenya shillings 16,903,793, out of which Kenya shilling 11,009,536 has been submitted and pending approval at the Office of the Control of Budget, attached as Annexure 1C. Is a schedule of initial outstanding amount of Kenya shillings 27,467, 160, and the match that has since been settled, and the balance schedule for settlement once the supplementary budget has been passed. Thank you, Chair.
Auditor General, we are presented with Annexes 1A, 1B, and 1C. Remember, as Senator Cherargei and Senator Wambua said, this is not the audit. This is a follow-up on implementation. What is your view on Annexes 1A? Let's start with 1A.
Thank you, Chair. On 1A, the management has submitted to us payment vouchers and supporting documentations submitted to our office, payment vouchers and their supporting documentations for payables amounting to the 176,378,605. However, we've not done a physical verification at the entity's premises to do additional audit tests on the entity's documentation and the verification of the goods or services that was supplied.
Now, Auditor, we need to be very straight up. You went for the audit, 176 million was not supported by, was not conclusively backed up at the time of audit. What makes you feel like it would be backed up now, if it was not backed up then?
Yes, thank you, Chair. At the time of audit, the supporting documents were not availed to our verification. Presently, the management has presented their supporting documentations. So the only remaining issue for us to adequately satisfy ourselves that they were backed up well is to visit the ground entity's premises and confirm, do additional tests on the documents that have been presented to us.
No, Auditor, we need to deal with this matter so that we set the principle on how we are going to run this meeting. Patrick?
Chairman, what the auditor is saying is that during the audit, these records are not available to the auditor. Now, when we have invited this entity to come before this committee, we were only given 7 days. This is the period within which we have been able to look at these records. The auditor needs to do the audit in the client's premises. That's where they do comprehensive audit tests. What the auditor is saying, he's not able to test these records within his premises because he needs to ask additional questions. He needs to talk to the people who prepared this documentation.
No, but why do you want to audit after the audit? Because now you should be auditing 2025, 2026.
Exactly, Chairman. So what the auditor is saying is unable really to confirm whether this documentation, for example, Chair, these are just listing of suppliers. But the auditor needs to look at the primary records and other records documented within the client's premises to be able to confirm whether these payments, payables, is a proper listing.
Senator Wabua?
Chair, you know, I'm hearing the auditors talking to us about documents, these documents. I don't know whether it's my file, but this is 1A, Chair. This is Annex 1A. It's this. This is what it is, right? Unless the other documents. And what I have as Annex 1A is a computer printout of, you know, I can't even read what this is, but I see at the end of the day there's 176 million. Is this a justification for, is it supposed to purge that query?
Chairman, what you are saying, if you look at that listing, for example, you'll see an amount that is listed there. You want to ask the client to identify and tell you how did this amount arise, okay? If it was a supply that was done, you want to look at the records within the entity whether, to see whether if goods were being procured, were they delivered?
Allow me, Chair, allow me on that one,
I
please.
think we need to put this question to the governor because the governor is, that's the reason why we needed the governor here. But
Yes, Chair, allow me. You know, Chair, that's why I asked the initial question. You see, what the auditors are telling us is that they have been presented, a document has been presented to them. And now they are supposed to go and ask the entity to provide further documents to justify the printout. Chair, are we not going back to pre-March 31st?
that is my concern. Governor, we need to put it to you. That amount cited is 41% of your total pending bills. The Auditor General, the implication is that 41% of your pending bills is fake because it was not supported. Is that the right position that the Senate should adopt?
Chair, let me just state this first, as for the record. When you go to this county, we had over 800 million pending bills. As of now, we've reduced it to about 103, but that's just for the record. But what I have is that there is this listing of all the items that constitutes 176 million. But we also have vouchers with the auditors. The auditor general has all the vouchers. So there is really no need to go to the premises. We can go through the vouchers here and confirm every payment. They're here.
No, Governor, you see, we know your background, you have been in Parliament, and that's not how it works. Parliament does not do the audit. It's the Auditor General to do an audit, and when the common report was that 41% of the pending bills were not supported, then it is for us to make that determination. We can't realistically go through vouchers for 176 million in this particular session. It is not practical. It is not possible. And the question to you as a chief executive officer is, when you see this query, because I don't think it's the first time you're seeing this query, what is the action that you have taken to ensure that this matter is addressed, either administratively or legally? Now, these are the questions we say that the governor must respond, because as a CEO, you must tell us administratively what action have you taken to ensure that there's clarity on the 176, so that the Senate does not say that 41% of pending bills in Samburu is fake.
Yeah, I think I've said it. We have given evidence of all those payments through the vouchers and everything. So that is the much I can do, because if the auditors at the time of the audit did not get those vouchers, now they have them. So I think that is.
So if the auditor was not provided with the vouchers at the time of audit, don't you see a problem there administratively within your organization?
I see a problem administratively. And
is there any administrative action that you have taken?
Yeah, we've had executive meetings, and we've, and now I'm told we have a tracker now that tracks payments.
Yeah, because let's be, Governor, I said I want to have a very, very mature conversation, and I want us to hold it with the right temperament so that we find the solutions. Not everything, not in all these issues, the blame goes to the governor. You have come with a huge delegation here. There are people you are paying a salary every month to ensure that when the auditor comes, records are provided. If they don't provide it, then ultimately you are the one who bears them. You cannot just sugarcoat things. If 41% of your pending bills cannot be justified, isn't there someone in your organization who maintains custody of those records? And that's a focus we must have, so that we whip everyone to play their role. A lot of officers hide behind the governor because they say, okay, the governor has been in parliament at a deal na wenzake. We are not going to accept that. If someone was supposed to take responsibility for custody of these records, we shall identify them, we shall name them, and the Public Audit Act gives us the power even to recommend that they are unfit to hold public office. That is power that is in statute. So I think that I want us to have that very candid, but also painful conversation, without glossing over issues, without running away from issues. I think that's the attitude that I wanted us to have. And we are not trying to fix the governor. We are just trying to find who should have been responsible for this. And if they slept on the job, we recommend certain administrative action needs to be done.
Chair.
Okay, let's hear.
Thank you, Chair, for that is, I'm exactly in your position, and I wish you'll be a governor one day. I've been complaining, and to these people, that if a document was available at the time of the audit, why didn't you give the auditors? And I've had various reasons. One, a reason that I would like to say here is that, and I want to speak to the auditors, some of my people would say they had given you these documents, and these documents are there, but some of the auditors will come up and say they are not there. What we are having here is issues of compliance and documentation. So, Chair, I have my CC here, and she has something to say about the track.
She's going to submit, she gave them to the auditor, she must provide evidence, because I believe there's a tracker for everything that is submitted to the auditor.
Chair, before the CC goes, because 62(2) of Public Audit Act is very clear. I think because this is the first time we are looking at an issue of non-submission of documents during the time of audit, why don't you let the legal counsel go through that part so that it will inform us how we move for the rest of the issues on non-submission of documents? Because I think it requires some justification. And so when the CC is responding, she should try and justify, so that for every issue of non-submission of documents, she would start by justification.
So that is the obligation of accounting officers when it comes to provision of records during audit. You have it? Or can you just read it out?
Section 62 of the Public Audit Act, a person shall not, without justification, that is 1B, without justification, fail to provide information required under this Act, and C, without justification, fail to provide information within reasonable time that is required under this Act. Then subsection 2, a person who contravenes subsection 1 commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 5 million shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years or to both.
So that's the legal basis. That's where we want to test whether an offense has been committed before we go back even to the numbers. Senator Lelegwe, you had a contribution before the CC?
Yes, Chair.
And the OAG.
Yeah. Chair, I wanted to ask the governor. When I see Annexure 1A, that is telling us to see on confirmation of these documents that were supplied to the auditor, we just have a schedule, just one-page schedule, which does not show us any voucher, any certificate. But when you see the types of works that constitute this 176 million, one part of it is construction of buildings. Proposed construction of Samburu County Referral Inpatient Block. I don't know how the county executive can fail to provide that document at the time of audit to the auditors. The second part, construction of civil works. I'm just giving one example. Proposed construction of Marala rental market at 3.4 million, construction of Lodungoke Boda Boda shed, construction of Maral car wash at 3.9 million. I think all these documents are available with the county government at that time of audit. And I fail to understand why the county executive could not provide these documents at the time of audit. The third part is supply of goods, supply of tires, supply of camels. Unless they did not follow the procurement procedures, that's when they can fail to have the documents as asked by the auditor. But as a committee today, we are not provided with any evidence. The governor is mentioning about the vouchers to the auditor. The auditor can confirm to us whether the vouchers, the payment vouchers are available with them, because in this sitting of Senate today, we are not provided 25. Meaning, all these pending bills, the 40% of these pending bills have occurred during the current administration of the county government. This is not a small amount. The governor needs to tell us where this 76 million, because if the documents were not available during the time of audit, how could the county government or the county officials construct these documents to come and place before us today and say we have accounted to that 176 million?
Thank you. Senator Chirarke.
Chair, mine will be three. I want to pick it from where my colleagues left. One, I don't believe, they say ignorance of the law is no excuse. The fact that the entity is not aware that under Public Audit Act is an offense for non-provision, then it points to competency and ability of the CCM and the team. So my question would be, would it be, Governor, your people need capacity building? Because I think your CC has served for some time, and this is not the first time that we are doing audit. So you should satisfy this committee that during exit, entry, management, even management letter highlight some of these issues. So I find it strange that your team might not be aware, which I fail to buy, Chair. That will be number one on the issue of entry, exit, and management meeting on the aspect. Number three, I have seen at the notes number 32, trade and other payables, Governor, over 94% of pending bills or trade and other payables is under your tenure. It is in 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, which is total of under 1 year. In fact, under 1 year is 321,723,000 in your account. And when you don't remit these statutory deductions, it is the money that belongs to the workers, or to the people or the workers who work within your entity. Why was this statutory deduction be the contractor and what and deliver? But on the issue of signed contracts, be the contractor and what and deliver. But on the issue of signed contracts, I want to believe these are documents that is available with the light department. If it is roads, if it is housing, it is something that should be available. So what is the justification of non-provision to justify this 176,378,600 to justify this 176,378,605? Chair, I yield back. That would be
Thank you. I think you've asked all the questions relating to this matter. Can we get a response from the governor and his team?
Chair, first, I think we need to be clear. We have the vouchers here that account to 176 million. As to why they were not provided to the auditors at the time of the audit, we have the CC here. She has an answer that shows that they provided. So let us deal with that. If the documents were provided, and the documents are here now to answer Senator Legwe, I'm told those documents are in those files. You can look at every single voucher.
We have read the law, and the law says any person without justification refuses to provide documents. Is there any justification for non-provision of those documents to the Auditor General? Because this cannot be the time when they're being provided. It's not here. Because this cannot be the time when they're being provided. It's not here. CC?
Just allow, we can get you the register signed that they received the documents. We had shared around 2 folders showing the vouchers to amounting to that.
Auditor General?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I hereby confirm that on 2nd of June, that is last week, we received the listing and all the individual payment vouchers and supporting documentations.
Was it submitted on 2nd of June or before